a tangent. A British moron asked me if I like Russians so much, why don't I move to Russia? Now, the thing is about this, I don't necessarily like conventional Russians, just as I don't like conventional British. Indeed, I am influenced by Russian mental patient culture. This is the thing, it's not as simple as Devise's police make it out to be, that they believe that my exposures of them is Russian disinformation, and that this conflict between a mental patient and Devise's police is a conflict between Britain and Russia. They are framing it in that lens, which is altogether rather stupid and reveals the stupidity of Devise's police. Indeed, I am influenced by Russian mental patient culture. Indeed, I cannot go to Russia anyway because I am wanted by the FSB for insults against Laddie P. And also, if I went there, I'd have to be returned to the psychiatric facility that I was in 2012, and I'd have to serve the remainder of my involuntary commitment to a psychiatric hospital. Indeed, I was sentenced to 10 years in a federal psychiatric hospital in Russia. So, for murdering those two Chechens, who were assets of Ramzan Kadyrov, I caused rather a lot of trouble. Indeed, although it may have been a GRU hypno-programmed Manchurian Candidate style hit, the problem was that these two Chechen individuals were close assets of Ramzan Kadyrov, and the GRU were unable to smooth it over with them. So basically, if I returned to Russia, I would be immediately placed back in a psychiatric hospital. And indeed, because of my insults against Vladdy P, I would probably end up in one of the desolate psychiatric hospitals in the outer wastes of Siberia, i.e. a gulag. So, in true Solzhenitsyn style, at the moment I would rather stay in the West. Even though I despise the villagers in Wiltshire, I would rather stay here in the Wiltshire villages. So it's all very strange to consider indeed. Now that I've theorized I may have indeed originally been a Russian citizen, it is causing a little bit of chaos with my theories, and indeed the Paracelsus group, i.e. networks of British perverted Freemasons, definitely killed my two girlfriends, i.e. Catty and Mishki. However, this may not have actually taken place at Grenville Lodge. This may have taken place in southwestern Russia. However, despite my amnesia, I am almost 100% sure that the British Freemasons killed my two girlfriends. So it's all very strange to consider that my two Russian girlfriends were killed by British Freemasons. And therefore, I have to take revenge on British Freemasonry. So it's interesting to consider, and indeed, Devise's police are themselves Freemasons. So they fall into the orbit of people I have a problem with. So it's all very interesting to note. Indeed, the majority of the British police are Freemasons. Indeed, the Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop, organ harvesting and child trafficking cartel is a Masonic ring being operated by the Wiltshire pig farmer mafia. Indeed, the main individuals of the Wiltshire pig farmer mafia are also Freemasons within the Royal Arch of British Freemasonry. So these are people that must be exposed. So it's all rather strange to consider how all of this is occurring, and indeed I'm still not entirely sure of my own life story due to the amnesia which interestingly was placed upon me by British Freemasons, i.e. networks of British Freemasons connected to the Paracelsus group via Grenville Lodge number 1787. Indeed, Grenville Lodge number 1787 were monitoring me while I was in Russia, because they knew I was a lunatic KGB body double of a student of theirs, i.e. William Field from Caen. So it's interesting to consider that during 2012, during my incarceration in a Russian psychiatric facility, Grenville Lodge operatives, i.e. Freemasonic spies, were watching me there and attempting to get a hit on me before all of this unfolded. Indeed, the Freemasonic networks of the network, in inverted commas, had clairvoyants operating who predicted that the Russian Wilsey would begin to cause trouble after he broke out of the Voronezh Psychiatric Institute, which is psychiatric facility number 74 in the Russian penal psychiatric system, psychiatric facility number 74. Indeed, interestingly, I was actually on ward number 6 in psychiatric facility 74, so it's understandable why I am naturally inclined towards Gromov from the Chekhov novella, ward number 6, because I was actually incarcerated on ward number 6 in psychiatric facility number 74 in Voronezh. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, this is a secret psychiatric facility, the facility I was in Voronezh, and is known for mind control experimentation. Indeed, the GRU, i.e. the Russian military intelligence capacity, were carrying out mind control experimentation there at the exact time I was incarcerated there. Although my amnesia tells me I was only there for 1 month, it turns out I was actually there for 13 months. So a lot of experimentation could have gone on during those 13 months, what with the GRU overseeing the operations of mind control programmers, who were themselves FSB in the Institute, i.e. Psychiatric Institution number 74, a secret psychiatric facility on the outskirts of Voronezh in southwestern Russia, where I was incarcerated for 13 months. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that British intelligence tend to eliminate their schizophrenic super spies before the age of 35, because at the age of 35, the amnesiac barriers begin to break down and individuals' memories begin to return. And this is indeed what is happening with me. Indeed, I'm now having flashbacks of my life. And it turns out that rather than 1 month in the psychiatric facility in Voronezh, I was actually there for 13 months. At the exact time, the GRU were conducting Project Yuri, which is a mind control and metaphorical brain transplant mind control programming experiment. So it's interesting to consider that I basically wandered out of a Russian mind control experiment, made my way to Serbia, and effectively insinuated my way into my body double's life, i.e. the life of William Field of Caen, who was really a bit of a degenerate and a bit of a disappointment as a human being. So it's interesting to consider that his exposures of Grenville Lodge were a bit lackluster. Indeed, my exposures of Grenville Lodge have been far better than anything he could have achieved. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, I've realized that a lot of my targeting in the past 6 years is connected to my exposures of the organ trade, i.e. the Waterrose and Sons Butcher Shop organ harvesting cartel. And indeed, the operatives, well, I hesitate to call them operatives, but we'll go with that anyway. The operatives of Devizes Police are continuing to irradiate me and utilizing their networks of gang stalkers to infest my brain with voices, thoughts, memories, false memories, and various other techniques. Indeed, this is a form of hypnosis that the British Freemasons via gang stalkers are implementing on me. And indeed, it is truly very annoying This is particularly bad between the hours of 3 p.m. and 8 p.m., where a lot of voices that are projected via beaming transmission are placed in my brain. And this seems to be an ongoing scenario indeed. The British police cannot take these exposures apparently, so they're basically coordinating a soft kill program on me, because the radiation will eventually kill me in about 4 years' time. So when I die, just know this: the British police killed me for exposing the fact that they were operating an organ harvesting network through a butcher's shop. Know this. It's all true. If it wasn't true, the British police would not be irradiating me and implanting voices into my head. That would not be happening if I had not told the truth about Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop being an organ harvesting cartel and Devizes police being a bunch of kiddie fiddlers and child rapists. So it's all very interesting to consider, especially coming from the perspective of a Russian mental patient. To analyze the British Freemasons in such a way is very interesting, and indeed the British Freemasons are particularly scared. Out of all schizophrenics, they are particularly scared of Russian schizophrenics, and indeed I believe this is because the Freemasonic occult idealism cannot understand the Russian soul. Indeed, they have problems when they attempt to map the brains of Russian schizophrenics utilizing beaming technology to harness the brainwaves of Russian schizophrenics, and indeed they struggle to understand the neural pathways and brain patterns of the Russian schizophrenic. So it causes the Freemasons a lot of irritation as they are attempting to gain absolute control over the mind through scientific technologies that are yet unseen, even in the black market. Indeed, the Freemasons are hoarding a lot of technology that they've created that hasn't even made its way onto the black market yet. So it's interesting to consider, indeed, the beaming technology that is being utilized against me by Devizes police most probably has a Soviet patent, interestingly, and was probably acquired through some sort of dodgy dark web exchange. Indeed, Devizes police most probably acquired this technology specifically for this black operation to be run against me. Indeed, as I've stated many times, I am a test subject in a terminal experiment, and potentially have been all my life, well, with my conception actually having been as a KGB body double for an English guy. So it's all rather strange to consider. And indeed, as I stated before, the Freemasonic Paracelsus group hypno-programmers, while I was in Serbia, did a particularly good job on my brain. It caused me so much amnesia, I forgot my own language, which is all very interesting indeed. I do seem to react strangely when I hear the Russian language spoken. However, I cannot understand what is being said. So the thing is, what's interesting about it is that I was already fluent in English, and always have been ever since I was a small boy. So it's interesting how they were able to plant a barrier in my brain to disconnect me from the Russian language and simply have me speaking English, which makes me think that there was an idea put forth by networks of Freemasons to utilize me as a schizophrenic super spy for the British Crown. However, they realized that I would be impossible to control effectively, and therefore they placed me as a discarded test subject into a subsection of the Roundway experiment, wherein I was designated TF-84, and basically came under the dominion of the Wiltshire lodges. So it's interesting to consider that for the past 12 years, I have been under the jurisdiction and dominion of the Wiltshire lodges, who are full of notorious lowlifes and basically represent the most perverted subsection of British Freemasonry, especially Moonraker Lodge number 8747 of Devizes, which is notorious for its infanticide cults, and my recent nemesis, Wyvern Lodge number 8620 in Warminster, which is apparently also notorious for its infanticide cults. So it's all very interesting to consider there is a deeply hidden secret in the heart of Warminster, and this is that the Freemasons of Wyvern Lodge number 8620 and Longleat Lodge number 1851, I can't remember the number, I really need to look it back up again. These people indulge in homosexual orgies every Saturday, and on the fourth Saturday of the month, they engage in an infanticide ceremony, whereby in the basements beneath the Masonic Hall in Warminster, they ritually sacrifice several children imported from Romania for this very purpose. Indeed, the majority of children in the Wiltshire Rings do seem to be imported from Romania. It's interesting to consider that without the Paracelsus Group network of British Freemasons, the Romanian mafia would be nothing. Indeed, the Romanian mafia's wealth is built on the supply of children to Masonic lodges and aristocratic cults in the United Kingdom, especially here in Wiltshire. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, the Mossad oversee a lot of these snake lines, though they interconnect with networks of the old Department of State Security, i.e. the old communist Romanian intelligence service. And indeed, these networks all interlink and are run by the Paracelsus Group, which is itself a subdivision of the network, in inverted commas, which is the overarching agency for Freemasonic spies. So it's all very strange to consider. Indeed, while I was in Russia in 2012, I must have come upon a Paracelsus Group operation, which is what led to a lot of these problems over the years. Now, I've been constantly monitored by the Paracelsus Group since 2009. Indeed, in 2009, I was in Vladikavkaz, which is very much the jurisdiction of the Paracelsus Group, and indeed, they run networks there of Chechen jihadists who are heavily engaged in an operative organ trade, which leads, interestingly, directly back to Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop. Indeed, the Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop organ harvesting cartel is part of a transnational operation being run by Wiltshire Freemasons and Wiltshire Police. So it's all very, very interesting to consider that this transnational operation of organ harvesting, child trafficking, and the trafficking of women, also utilizing networks of Eastern European mobsters of various ethnicities and networks of jihadists and neo-Nazi satanic terrorist networks. This network is all being operated by Wiltshire Freemasons, including the Wiltshire Masonic pig farmers and the Wiltshire Police, who are themselves all Freemasons also. So it's interesting to note this county has a seriously dark and disturbing underbelly that is not particularly known about. But it's interesting that this underbelly is run by the most important people within these villages. Indeed, I've stated before about Councillor Jack Jones, the Mayor of Warminster. He is a high-ranking 32nd degree Freemason of Longleat Lodge. So, interesting, this guy, Councillor Jack Jones, the Mayor of Warminster, is a pederast and likes prepubescent boys, which seems to be an ongoing theme with the Wiltshire Freemasons. Indeed, Councillor Jack Jones regularly engages in orgies with prepubescent Romanian boys. So it's interesting to consider this traffic of children to the rings in Wiltshire tends to be an operation of the Paracelsus group, and the ethnic heritage of these children tends to be Romanian. So it's interesting to consider, indeed, the whole nation of Romania is very much Paracelsus group territory, and indeed Romanian mobsters act as appendages of this overarching British Masonic network, which interestingly has its headquarters in country estates and Masonic lodges in Wiltshire. Indeed, Wiltshire is the heartland of the Paracelsus group. So it's all very, very interesting to consider. Now, I know I repeat that quotation many times in my videos, but it is all very, very, very interesting to consider. This is the thing. It is. Anyway, I have a quick vape before we carry on. Sorry. There are things about the Russian government that the Russian government would rather I did not reveal, such as the fact that they spend a lot of black budget money on experimentation on schizophrenics. But what is really quite interesting is that a lot of the experimentation being done in Russia today receives illicit funding from the Paracelsus group. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, the Paracelsus group are heavily engaged in the kidnapping of Russian schizophrenics, many of whom are themselves schizophrenic super spies and have been through such programs as Project Yuri, which is the same project I was put through for 13 months in the Voronezh psychiatric facility. And indeed, when these individuals are kidnapped, the British Freemasonic networks like to keep them as psychic spies and therefore utilize their extrasensory perception and paranormal phenomenon for operational usage within the network, in inverted commas. It's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, although the specific demographic on Earth that the Freemasons hate the most is the Russian schizophrenic, they attempt to utilize as many Russian schizophrenics as they possibly can for their operations. And indeed, this involves a network of Chechen jihadists who, interestingly, while he was alive, were connected to Ramzan Kadyrov. So there may have been an alternative motive as to why I murdered these two Chechens on a bridge in Vladikavkaz, and it may not have been a mind-controlled hit that was coordinated by the GRU. Indeed, it's probable that if I was operating as a Manchurian candidate for the GRU, the operation could have been covered up and any legal procedures could have been sidelined. However, I was taken to court in a Russian federal court and was tried on charges of murder, found not guilty by reason of insanity, and sentenced to involuntary commitment for 10 years. Indeed, if this had been a GRU black operation, this most probably would not have happened. I'd have had basically diplomatic immunity, as it were, but we're not talking foreign espionage here, so that wouldn't be the correct term. However, I would have had immunity from prosecution. So it's all very interesting to consider that I may have killed these two Chechen mobsters who were jihadis and connected to the Grey Wolves and various Mujahideen networks. Indeed, I may have murdered these individuals because they were targeting for kidnap Russian schizophrenics as part of an overarching Paracelsus Group operation known as Project Miranda. So it's interesting to consider, indeed, Project Miranda is also the name of a KGB originating organ trafficking network. So it's interesting to consider that the Paracelsus Group are utilizing the codename Project Miranda for their abduction and kidnap of Russian schizophrenic super spies to incorporate within the network, i.e. the Masonic intelligence agency of Masonic spies, which interestingly is itself a sub-branch of British intelligence. So this is interesting. This is very interesting. Indeed, Project Miranda was originally rolled out in the 1980s when the network and British intelligence came across secret Russian plans to plant schizophrenic super spies in the United Kingdom. What with perestroika, there were die-hard elements of the KGB who wanted to reverse perestroika policies at the time in some capacity and believed that they could plant networks of schizophrenic super spies in Britain to spy on military installations. And indeed, there was a Russian schizophrenic super spy located in Warminster in the 1980s who was killed by the local townspeople for basically utilizing astral projection to spy on Warminster military base. Indeed, locals were very scared of this individual, a paranoid schizophrenic named Sasha, and basically murdered him, despite him actually having gone rogue from the Russian intelligence services. Indeed, this is a problem that the intelligence services of both Britain and Russia have with their schizophrenic super spies. Their schizophrenic super spies are always going rogue and carrying out their own operations and their own assassinations. So it's very interesting to consider that schizophrenic super spies are intelligence operatives. This is the thing. Although they are experimental test subjects being utilized by the intelligence services of the respective nations, British and Russian paranoid schizophrenic super spies are intelligence operatives. Indeed, I am an intelligence operative. I am trained in human, i.e. human intelligence gathering. And basically, I'm able to spy on facilities in my brain. So far, I've discovered a cache of psychotronic weapons underneath the Warminster military base, located in Department D4F of Warminster military base. However, my main mission at the moment is not to astrally spy on Warminster military base. I have another target here in Warminster, i.e. a ring of Freemasons who are utilizing networks of local military connected people to pimp the daughters of these military connected people to elite networks for orgies. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. This abuse is ongoing and has been going on in Warminster for 40 years. Indeed, this may have been what Sasha, the schizophrenic super spy here in the 80s, stumbled upon and was therefore murdered by the locals. It's interesting that he was murdered by the locals rather than picked up by the security services, i.e. he must have discovered a deep local secret. Indeed, I am not in an enviable position here at all. Indeed, the villagers in the Wiltshire countryside absolutely despise me and believe I am a Russian spy, which is all very interesting to consider indeed. I may have Russian roots, and I may be a spy, but I'm most certainly not operative for the Russian state in any capacity at all. Indeed, I am wanted by the FSB for insults about Vladdy P, and they want to return me to the psychiatric facility to basically serve the remainder of my involuntary commitment, which would be the best part of another 9 years in a Russian federal psychiatric penitentiary. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. I'm going to really watch my step in this territory because I am beginning to view Wiltshire as hostile territory. Indeed, Devizes residents want to see me killed by Warminster locals and are basically creating a black propaganda campaign to attempt to have me murdered by Warminster locals on charges of treason, apparently. So it's interesting to consider all of this. Indeed, I haven't betrayed a nation. I don't have the capacity to betray a nation. Indeed, I do not even believe in the modern concept of the nation state, so I don't know how I could potentially be a traitor to a nation state. Indeed, I'm an amnesiac and a schizophrenic also, so half the time I don't actually know what I'm doing. So I don't think it would be possible for me to actually betray a nation. And what with my amnesia and the inability to actually remember my own roots, I don't even know which nation I technically belong to anyway. So it's all very, very, very strange to consider. And indeed, devisers are behaving very recklessly at the moment, attempting to organize a hitman of Georgian origin, an individual that I know as Ruslan Kordakov, whose real name is Ruslan Kordiashvili, born in Tbilisi in 1984, so he is 42 years of age. And indeed, devisers are attempting to recruit this individual for a hit. Indeed, Ruslan is an operative of the maniac murder cult with connections to the FSB, the GRU, and Chechen jihadist paramilitary groups. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. I also believe he ghost operates for the Mossad, so it's all very interesting to consider indeed. Being maniac murder cult, he also has very intense connections to the Paracelsus group. So this is what is all coming down to. The fact that this Freemasonic network that I have been exposing in Wiltshire is a Paracelsus group network. And considering the Paracelsus group killed my 2 Russian girlfriends, it's all very interesting how this is coming down. And indeed, this is becoming very much a terminal cosmic conflict between myself and the Paracelsus group, i.e. a branch of the network, in inverted commas, the Masonic intelligence franchise, which is itself a major asset of the British intelligence services. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. As I've spoken before, there is a cosmic conflict between paranoid schizophrenics and Freemasons. So it's interesting how this is coming down. And indeed, Project Miranda, the ongoing kidnapping and abduction of Russian schizophrenics for forced servitude with the British Freemasonic networks is really a project that is in need of exposure. Indeed, this is Project Miranda, and is operated chiefly from Wiltshire. Indeed, it is the Masonic lodges from Wiltshire that are running a lot of the Paracelsus Group's activities regarding Project Miranda in Eastern Europe. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. I'm going to leave it there now. Thank you.